Hello, everyone. Welcome again to another FIDE's podcast question series. This is the podcast where you guys could ask any questions you may have about the Catholic faith, and I will answer them in these short videos. These questions can come from you, the parent, but they can also come from your kids. So feel free to email me any questions you may have about the Catholic faith, and we'll answer them together in these videos. Your questions can also be anonymous. So if you wish your question to be anonymous, please just include it in your email that I would like this question to be answered anonymously. That way we can answer. That way you don't have to be ashamed or afraid to ask any questions you may have, and we can learn about the faith together. All right? Hope you enjoy. All right. So today's question is going to be directed towards adults. So I do ask that if you have kids around, please ask them to leave. As this question will be directed towards adults. The topic is on LGBTQ. And this question actually is asked from an anonymous parent, and it's asked in it has 4 different parts to it. All right. So in order to keep these videos short and concise and accessible, I'm going to answer them in a 4-part series. That way, you don't have to watch a 40-minute video of me explaining and answering the whole question. All right, so the first part of this question has to do with what is the Catholic response to LGBTQ. All right, and the first thing we need to understand about the Catholic response to LGBTQ is that every human being is made for love. All right, that is the number one thing we need to understand, is that human beings are made for love. All right, so let's break down what that means actually. All right, so let's first define what is love. All right, so love is the wishing of the good of another as other. All right, so it's wanting the other person, all right, to find fulfillment, and that you desire their fulfillment, so you're going to help them find that fulfillment. All right, based on how they're created. So it's recognizing who they are, right, how they're created, and recognizing, okay, here's the decision and actions. I want them to make these decisions, these decisions and these actions in order to find fulfillment, because I want them to find that. I want them to find that good in their life and that fulfillment, and that is love, because I want them to have that. All right, I want them to be fulfilled. We can use the example. Let's just use a silly example of, like, let's say an apple tree. All right. What is the purpose of an apple tree? It's to produce apples, right? Now, using my reason and looking at the apple tree, if I see that it's not producing apples, there's something wrong, right? It's not finding fulfillment in what it's supposed to do. All right. Now, if I leave it there and just let it be by itself and let it continue to not produce apples, I'm not loving that apple tree, right? But if I see that the purpose of an apple tree is to produce apples, and I want that apple tree to find fulfillment, I'm going to help that apple tree get back in. So I'll fix the soil, I'll expose it to the sun more, I'll water it, whatever it needs to do in order to get fruit again, so that it can be properly ordered again and find fulfillment. All right, and that's love. Right? It's a silly example because it's an apple tree, but this also applies to human beings. All right, God created human beings in His image and His likeness. All right, we are to reflect Him in a certain way. All right, God also created us physical. All right, He created us physical, and He created us spiritual. We have a body and a soul. All right, and we are not body and soul separate, but we're body and soul united. All right, that's what makes us a human being. All right, so our body is not separate from our soul, and our soul is not separate from our body. All right, and not one is more important than the other. They're both united as a human being. Right, so to love the human being, or to love even yourself, you have to recognize who it is you are and who God created you to be, and that means your body and your soul. God gave you this body, and he instilled a soul in it to make you a human being. All right, and that means we have to recognize, okay, this is the purpose of our body, and I'm going to order my life to fulfill that purpose. All right, so that I can find fulfillment. It's not necessarily like, oh, this is the robot and you must do this in order to, you know, uh, get from A to B. Is no, this is what's going to bring fulfillment in your life by, ordering your life to make the decisions that reflect how God created you. All right. So to love a person, all right, is to want them to find that fulfillment. All right. It's to want them to order their lives and their decisions in a way that's going to fulfill who they are and how God created them to be. And in doing that, you're reflecting God's love for them. I mean, God created them out of love, and God wants that too, because He created you out of love. So He wants you to find that fulfillment. All right. He wants you to order your life towards the way He created you. All right. All right. So that's what it means to be created for love. All right. And since every human beings are social, all right, um, we need to love each other. We need to help each other in this world to, recognize how God created us and help each other order ourselves towards that create how God created us, so that we can find fulfillment and joy in our life and through our decisions. All right. Now, let's go on to another part of human love. All right. And this goes a little deeper because this is now intimate human love. Right. And this intimate human love can only be experienced through a man and a woman. All right. Um, we go back to be made in the image and likeness of God. All right. We already discussed the physical and spiritual part. All right. That is something we have in common with God. All right. That's what it means to be made in the image and likeness of God. God is physical and spiritual. We are also physical and spiritual. But just another part of being made in the image and likeness of God, and that is our ability to create. All right. And that's with our bodies. All right. Our bodies have the ability to create. All right. And recognizing that is recognizing the fulfillment of our bodies and finding joy. So when we order our lives to that direction, um, then we're gonna find fulfillment when we pursue it. All right. If we are going to love intimately, then we need to order our lives to in order to get the fullness of that intimate love. Right. So I digress. But the the intimate love can only be experienced through a man and a woman because the way God created a man's body and a woman's body is complementary. Okay, um, they and not they don't complete each other. 'Cause only God can complete us, but God created man and woman to come together to complement each other. All right, and to live this life in a complementary way and bring new life. All right, um, and in that love, the man recognizes the end of the woman's body, and woman recognizes the end of man's body. All right, um, so that allows them to love each other. All right, so when I recognize, okay, that is a woman, all right, and this is how God created this woman. All right, He created this woman out of love, and He made her body in a certain way, um, and to love that person, I must also love their body and wish that their body reaches its fulfillment. All right. Um, so in the intimate love, all right, which is involved with the sexual act, all right, the the man gifts himself to the woman, and the woman gifts herself to the man, so that they can complement each other and bring to fulfillment what their bodies are capable of and how they're created. All right. So by giving from by a man gifting himself to a woman, and a woman gifting herself to man, a man is gifting her the end of her body, which is motherhood, and a woman's gifting the man the end of his body, which is fatherhood. All right. Um, so you see a self gift with this intimate love. All right, and recognizing how God created that body and wanting that end of the body. All right, wanting that their body to find its fulfillment and reach its end, and I'm desiring their good because of that. All right, so that's really what the Catholic response is as far as love. Now, LGBTQ, all right, unfortunately does not match this because it's not recognizing the end of the other person's body, all right? And it's also it's not loving the other person to its fullest, all right? Um, yes, there may be emotions, there may be a lot. You may actually really care for the person, and that's great. Um, but let's talk about like a homosexual relationship, all right? Um, the person may care for the person and wish they're good, but when you get to the intimate part, all right, the intimate love, that actually does not reflect care and love for the person, because now instead of you can't gift your body to fulfill and complement the other person's body. Um, it's only going to be I'm gonna use your body for my pleasure, and it becomes a gift of use instead of a gift of self. All right. So I'm gifting my body so I can use your body, and you're gifting your body so I can use your body for pleasure, because there's no complementary action between uh, uh, a homosexual relationship. All right. Um, so the Catholic response would be to love. Really, is to love correctly, and it's to help each other love each other and how God created us. And we need to help those who are experiencing same-sex attractions or gender dysphoria, and thinking that their bodies are in like a woman's body is stuck in a man's body, or a man's body stuck in a woman's body. Um, because there's confusion there, and we know that they're not we know from Catholics perspective that they're not going to fulfill their purpose. They're not going to find fulfillment in this life, and we need to help them understand what is true love by loving them and wishing their good. All right, so I hope that answers the first part of this question. And if you have any questions, follow-up questions about that, please feel free to email me them as well. um, the next section on this question is going to be addressing social media and society, because I mean, the LGBTQ movement's everywhere, and it's um, it's being exposed to our kids, right? And that really is a hard thing to grasp as a parent, right? And unfortunately, it's making us talk to our kids at an uncomfortably younger age. All right. So in the next section of this question, I'm going to answer what should our response be as parents? What should we do to help our kids um, not be manipulated or fall into the what society is offering them? All right. So until next time, God bless and have a good day.